I have been with the program since the beginning. It used to just be my one-man show, and now I have a huge team. So those of you that are stuck just being the only person, it will evolve and it will grow. And we hope today will help you see some of those visions to help yourself. I wanted to introduce one of our new members. This is Ashley Porter, our assistant principal, who will be with us and helping out. So you'll see him at different times. I'm also looking to change a little bit for next year of having possibly somebody help out just for our partnering districts. So then you have a either teacher or principal that you can call at any time, because I feel bad that a lot of you have been going to my voicemail lately. We're getting larger. There's now 56 districts that partner with us, with 10 more that have contracts out for next year. So it gives us great networking and lots of opportunities to do things, but we want to make sure that we're still available for you and supporting all your needs in your district, the same way that we started when there were 5 partnering districts. Today's program, you'll see most of you have registered for all your sessions, but even if you registered, you don't have to attend that. If you see something else that you'd like to attend, that's fine as well. So don't feel obligated of, oh, I registered for this, but this session's also at the same time. We tried to map it out as best as possible for all of your requests. So the majority of you will be able to attend all the sessions that you did request for that. This room is 104. Straight across the hall is 105. And right beside this room is 104A. The restrooms, guys, you will have to use the main office one until probably 10 o'clock, I would say. We're doing drug testing and they use the staff bathroom. So you can't go into that one. So males, you will go down this hall. There will be a sign that says guidance. If you go in that door, walk straight ahead, make a left, and then the restroom's right on your left-hand side. Females, you can use the staff restroom or the kids' bathroom, whichever one you choose. The student bathroom's right down this hallway. That's where I go just because it's closer. But if you want the staff bathroom, it's straight down this hallway. You make a left, make an immediate right, and it's right on your right-hand side. But we'll be around to help you. You don't have to memorize all of that either. I thought we would just take a quick minute to go around, since there's a lot of new faces here, and introduce yourself and what district you're from, and maybe how the size of your district. So then as we look to network with each other, we can see which districts are comparable to your districts. You want to start for us?
Sure. I'm Janet from Beaver Area School District. I'm the elementary school counselor. And at the elementary level, we have about 1,000 children.
Brandon, I'm from Beaver Area School District as well. Caitlin and I are the high school guidance counselors there, and we have about 800.
I'm Caitlin Belhumer. I am one of the high school counselors at Beaver.
Rob King, middle school counselor, Beaver. About 350.
I'm Zach Turley. I run the cyber program at Beaver.
I'm Lori Lockren. I was adopted by Beaver for today, but I am actually from Avella School. And our program, we have a very small district. The whole district K through 12 is slightly over 500. And I take care of our cyber program.
And a lot more.
Right.
Hi, Michelle Wisniewski from Nanticoke area, over other side of the state near Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. We have about 800 students at the high school, and I'm the cyber coordinator for 6 through 12.
Hi, I'm Carla Hermerger. I'm from Washington. I'm the special education director and the cyber center director, and we have about 1,500 students in our school.
I'm Chase Berg, also from Washington. I'm a teacher, special ed teacher, and I also help with the cyber administration. So I have 1,500 in our school district, and I'm in their cyber a lot.
161.
I'm Lisa Maloney. I'm from Pennsylvania Area School District. And we have about 5,600 students in our district. We have about 1,800 students in our high school.
and about 1,500 students in our middle schools between 3 buildings. And our cyber is 6 to 12.
I'm Sarah Lang, I'm the cyber coordinator for Hinsfield Area School District. Like you said, we have 5,600 kids in our district, 3 middle schools. We do 6 through 12, 1,800 kids in our high school.
I'm Andrea from Freeport. I'm actually a Spanish teacher right now, but they're thinking about partnering with Seneca as far as offering a cyber program for their teachers. We have about 7 at the high school, which is 9 to 12.
I'm Stacey Eisenberg. I'm the technology integration coach for Freeport Area School District, and we're very new to this, so we're here for ideas. And we have about 1,700 students K to 12.
Hi, I'm Elisa King from South Allegheny School District. We have about 1,550 students in the district. I currently serve as the Director of Elementary Services. Next year, I will add on to my title and be the Director of our Education Cyber, which is going to function from, so.
Hi, I'm Pete Osterhus. I'm also from South Allegheny. I'm one of the high school teachers, new to this whole thing.
I'm Mark Bakokian, the assistant principal at Central Valley High School, also the cyber coordinator there as well. There's about 700 students in our high school.
I'm Eric Hewitt. I'm the principal of Riverview Junior Senior High School. We've got about 125 kids, 900 district-wide.
I'm Melissa Sorgan. I'm a special education teacher at South Allegheny, and working with the students starting this out. So.
Michael Lizzie, high school English teacher at South Allegheny.
Amy Thurston, Elizabeth Forward, I'm close to some people in here. Cyber coordinator, I'm also a Spanish teacher in the building. We have a pretty small cyber program. We have about 800 in our high school. We also work with our middle school kiddos too for cyber, but fewer middle school, more high school. Pretty small still at this point, but we use it kind of as a catch-all for some of those kiddos that want to kind of go to different cyber and charter schools. We try to keep them in the district. That's pretty much our role. We're trying to keep them in the district.
I'm Jan Robinson. I'm from Blackhawk. Our high school probably has about 700 students. I'm the cyber coordinator for K through 12.
Jeff Nelson, I'm with Future Ed Solutions, where we work with nearly 30 districts in Ohio, much the same way as Seneca works here in Pennsylvania. We're in the process of moving a lot of things over to Edgenuity, so we are here to learn and just figure out some things that we may or may not know.
My name is James Costelli, assistant principal for middle school and high school at Seneca Valley School District. We're about 1,200 students. And I do all the online stuff too.
At Brentwood.
At Brentwood. Yeah, at Brentwood.
I'm Jen Sherman. I'm also with Future Ed Solutions. Taught online for about 10 years, and we've been partnering with districts, brick and mortar districts, for about 5 years, helping them set up their digital academies. So here to learn.
Christina and I are from Ambridge. My name's David. We split the coordinator duties, and we both are classroom teachers. So we're juggling all day long, trying to find time to manage this one.
And stay in touch.
My name is Eric Mank. I'm from Menneson Junior Senior High. I'm the principal there. We're a district of about just under 900 kids.
We're just introducing everyone, so you want to. Perfect timing. Welcome.
I'm Melissa Grants, the assistant principal at Knox High School. I'm also the cyber coordinator.
Just to give you an idea of Seneca's size, I know a lot of you, when I come and present, I've talked to your superintendents or different people in your district, not normally all of you as teachers. Our district has about over 7,000 students in it. So each of the buildings, we have 3 buildings on campus. You're in our 910 building, which has about 1,200 kids just in this building alone. So our district's pretty large. So as we're talking about some of the things that we do here at Seneca, just realize that some of it is due to the size, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. It might just mean that we have to modify it and do it in a little bit different direction. We have about 87 full-time students. Definitely still do not encourage students to be full-time cyber. We go more on the hybrid, where kids are taking 1 or more cyber classes, where we have over 1,500 cyber classes going on each semester. So students, it has become part of our culture here, and it is more of opportunity and flexibility and not just to retain them like what we did when we first started. Our works a little bit better for us, having the more flexibility of even our master schedule. So we no longer have to say no to student schedules, and we're able to work around based on having our cyber program. As our teachers start coming in, you have different teachers talking to you. All of the teachers that will be presenting today are full-time cyber teachers now. That was not how we started. We started with part-time teachers, similar to how you are doing it in some of your districts, where they are teaching one period during the day and then 5 traditional. Or I know some districts do it outside of their contractual day and are paid for that. And that's what our teachers do if we're teacher of record for you. So there's a lot of different models. As you hear different things, if you have questions, please ask as the teachers are presenting. They're looking for that interaction more than us just delivering what we're doing. We want to make this day meaningful to all of you, and we're all here to help. You have all met Val when you walked in. She's normally the person when you call the 1015 line that answers and helps out the most. She'll be in the office, which is diagonal from here. Same with the other cyber teachers that aren't presenting, they'll be in that area. So if you do have a question, you're more than welcome to go into that area. Or if there's a session where you need to take a phone call, or you have to do a couple emails and you need to skip something, there is some workspaces in that area that you're more than welcome to go into also. So at this time, we're moved to the 9 o'clock sessions. In this room, Ms. Lehman is going to be doing the strategy for student success. And across the hallway, Mr. Forneris will be doing the add-ons for Edgenuity. I know that there are a couple people from the same districts. It may be beneficial, even though you may have all signed up for the same session, to split some so that you're hearing both options, because every presentation definitely has something that could tie into your district. Any questions before we get started? Okay, thanks. Oh, so you come out here and what you do. Just watch yourself up if you have to comment.
We are not. We said we couldn't drive this up the course.
They're sitting right here. So you guys hang those so you can move them wherever. Right now. She just puts it back on there.
Oh, I used to drive all the time. I was involved in theories.
We'll meet you all.
Okay.
At the.
Which part did you go to?
The one on 51. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there still construction down there?
What district?
Manassas. Yes. I don't know if, yeah. Thank you.
Between like Carrot and Brownville.
If you guys get cold, we can pull these closed.
Next time, keep drawing. No, but I'm just saying, it would have been easier to be like. You're not thinking that you're not hearing that terrible.
Yeah, so when you look
Oh, there
around,
was
That's because if you go in the Darabelle, I drove in Wisconsin, they'll get you.
No.
Like, it is. I guess the we don't know anything there.
Oh, but I can look there, you get enough fans.
They come in and out, we don't have like one in school.
Well, it's not.
Or maybe like he's qualified, or he's qualified. Just looking at
That would be cool.
it was sort of smaller.
That's good.
Okay, we're ready. Is everybody ready to get started? Okay. Okay, my name's Amy Lehman, and I'm full-time English teacher here at Seneca Cyber. I've been with the program, I think this is my 8th year in Cyber now, so I've previously taught in the classroom for 13 years. So I've been here pretty much since the my presentation has a very long title. It's like supporting student best practice. It's really just kind of a practical type of knowledge and how to use the tools in Edgenuity for the students, for the teachers, and a little bit for the parents too. So some of this, what's in here you may already use. It might not be new to you. If you've been in Edgenuity for a while, you can see some of this in that help resource section too. So you may have seen it before, but I'm hoping it just kind of gives you maybe some new ideas. And then if you are doing something new, maybe we can just at the end kind of share with everybody if you have different strategies that you think might help some other teachers too. Okay. So just to start out with, so I kind of started with some student tools that we use here at Seneca, and like I said, they're kind of practical and they might be tools that you already use in the traditional classroom too. But a lot of the things we do in traditional also applies to cyber. So first of all, we kind of talk about academic integrity. And I don't know about you, but I know here at Seneca we have a lot of, they find a lot on the internet, of course, with such easy access to them. So I teach English and, there's a lot of essays and short writings in there. And so it's kind of easy to see when students are, searching elsewhere. So we like to have an academic integrity policy in place, and actually in Edgenuity, there is a very kind of some different samples of one-page, academic policies, or a little bit more extensive in there. So what I like to do is kind of see what they have and kind of pull different things that you might like, and there are different things that apply. For Edgenuity, sometimes they have like a full lab online experience. So there's a lot of sign into the lab and, keeping track of where students are type of things, but we don't really have that here. So this is just kind of getting student expectations in writing, which is always a good idea, I think, either in cyber or in the classroom. So if you have kind of like an online learning, like an honor code for students to sign, we also like that parents see that, so the parents maybe want to sign that too, like have a parent signature, so that they know, if something were to happen, your student is caught, cheating or whatever, that there are consequences for that, just like in the regular classroom. Also, I thought this was kind of interesting, and I never really thought about this before, but let's talk about like the consequences being too light. So if they do cheat on a quiz and you just say, well, you have to retake that quiz, they're not, to them, that's like, well, maybe I'll do better on the quiz second time then. And they're, to them, that's really not a kind of a heavy consequence. So it doesn't really, like I said, doesn't outweigh the risk of getting caught. So we try to make the consequences like, well, you can either maybe give them a 0 on the unit, or you can give them a 0 just on one assignment. That's kind of up to you, I think. And sometimes that's just involves maybe a conversation with the student and kind of seeing, what they were thinking, or, if they were crushed for time, or, if they were just afraid to do the retake. If it's a general class, there are 2 retakes on the set already, unless it's at the AP or the honors level. So they do have another chance, and sometimes if they cheat on the first quiz, you obviously aren't going to give them that second, quiz to say, oh, here, try it again because you cheated on the first one. So that's kind of up to you, maybe student dependent. But we try to make the consequences something that I don't want to say they have to pay for, but something that they are that again from that point on. Okay. The student contracts, these are just some of the expectations. And again, a lot of these are very transferable from a traditional classroom. And if you're a teacher, you probably have a lot of these type of expectations already within your classroom. And every school is different, so your setup might have a dedicated lab at your school, but not all schools have that. We do actually have some dedicated labs here at Seneca. Now, with their 2-in-1 devices, that might go away too, because they can pretty much work wherever they want to. But this just kind of, I don't have to read through all of these, but it talks about like keeping things, having like a clean workspace, remain at your assigned seat, no distractions, the whole phone thing, that's just so, we don't know what to do. I'm sure you're the same way. At this point, like, what do you do? They're gonna have their phones out. You can put some restrictions on that though. If their phones are turned off and flipped over or something, some teachers I know will do that. Raising your hand if you need help. There's the consequences of them being disruptive, that they, will be removed from the lab and not have that time for themselves. I do kind of like the last suggestion of completing the last activity and logging off 5 minutes before the bell rings. And again, I know that's just kind of classroom management, but whenever they get writing or they get into a quiz or something, they will sometimes say, like, well, I didn't have time to like save and log out. Or something happened and it just bumped me out of the program. Well, as teachers, we don't really know that. We don't want to say, well, I don't really believe you. But if you have this kind of in place where they do have to log off, finish their activity, log off, and then at least 5 minutes before the bell, it's just kind of a reminder for them. And I think it kind of gets them in a better place, like kind of mentally, but sort of like if they finalize that last activity, they feel kind of good about where they are in the class. So I think that sort of happens too. And just teachers letting them know not the bell, but that's just kind of a standard, just kind of getting them ready and prepped for their next class period. Okay. Also, they have in here checking the lobby every day for your progress. I don't think a lot of students do that. They do not automatically go to the lobby, and if you've ever logged in as a student and you see 52 emails that are unread, then they're not really going to that lobby or checking their emails like they should be. So that's always a nice suggestion to start. Like, go to the lobby, see what emails are in there, make sure that you address those and you answer teachers, because teachers are getting back to you and they're giving feedback, and if you don't do that, you're gonna miss something, okay? So I do kind of like that they suggest checking that lobby in there. And just on another note too, while they're in the lobby, they have that assignment calendar in the organizer tab that is very nice. And I tell kids all the time, I don't think they use it enough. but that assignment calendar is in there. When they click on the assignment calendar, it shows all the assignments that need to be done that day to keep them on track. And I'll talk about that a little later about staying on track. But it's just like an agenda for them, an online agenda. So they see the activity they need to do. When they complete it, there's a green check beside it, and that shows that they are done, with everything they need to be done with for the day, okay, to keep them on track. I just don't think it's used enough, and I try to tell kids all the time, don't use that assignment calendar. It makes it so easy. It can help keep you on track to use it. But again, it's kind of a matter of them going to the lobby and kind of checking out what's there. Okay, do a lot of your kids use the assignment calendar? I'm just curious because do we know if like a lot of kids do?
At our intake meetings, I show them exactly
Oh,
what
good.
it is
Yeah.
because I'm like, if you're more of a to-do list kind of person,
Right.
That's one of the first things I tell them.
Yeah,
when I
it's
introduce
struggle
a new
here
student.
too, and I think it's a great thing to have in there, but you almost do, you're right, you almost have to remind them of that, to use that. Okay, but it's a good tip to know. Also, under the student contracts, and this can apply elsewhere too, but it talks about like, how, what do their grades really say? And in Ingenuity, it's all percentages, pretty kind of, it's clear cut. They're always kind of like, well, everything is a percentage of the grading scale, but what does it mean? Like, how do I know if I really know this content? Well, and this is just a guideline. It's obviously nothing in stone, but kind of talks about from a B+ up, and if you have plus and minuses, I don't know, everybody's different. But then most likely you could teach it. You could sit down with your friend and you can kind of go through the steps. So you understand it well enough that you could probably teach it to somebody else. When they start talking about like B, B-, maybe you couldn't teach it to that person, but you could kind of help them with it a little bit. Okay, so you could help somebody if that person is stuck. Maybe not teach the full lesson of it, but you could help someone. The C range, well, at least you can do it yourself. Okay, so you might not really be excelling at that skill or that activity right now, but you know that that's something that you can complete and you're successful at it. So that should be a good feeling. You should have that good feeling of, okay, I feel like I know this. And then when I say that, the kids usually get it. Yeah, I know that feeling when I kind of know it. The D's are, well, you might need a little help then to finish this task or this activity. Okay, because clearly something isn't clicking there. You don't have that good feeling about doing it. And so you need some help to do it. When you get down to the D's and the F's, then you need to learn how to do it again. Okay, and if you're consistently getting a D on a quiz, you're missing something. Okay, either missing something in your comprehension of what you're reading, which is for English, or you're missing a part of a formula, and you need to relearn that baby, and you need to know how to do that again. So again, when we talk with this kind of chart with kids, and they do get it, like, well, okay, but that's kind of telling me what these letters mean. And I don't know about you, but like here at Seneca, there's a lot of talk about getting rid of the grading system, and that's kind of not just here, but just like bigger talk. But I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing, but at least you could explain kind of the levels of it to them a little bit better. So I think this is sort of practical for them, and then they get a better feeling of where they are in that course. And maybe, if they're debating, should I retake this quiz? I'm not sure. I have a retake, but I don't know if I want to be bothered. Kind of, if you start talking in these terms, sometimes like, well, maybe I do need to go over it again. And then in that way, maybe I could bring my grade up if I have one retake on it. So to them, then they start thinking, well, maybe it's worth it if I go back and spend a little bit more time. Okay, because at the end, they always want the better grade in their course, but they're just like, they just don't know if they want to invest more time in it, which, I guess that's like everybody, but this is a way that you can show them, maybe you should invest a little bit more time because you might get it. It might just be better for you, okay? So just another tool that we like to show them. I hope this is going to work. I'm not sure, but this is just this is like a little how-to video, but it just talks about academic integrity. It's kind of a different viewpoint than what I had really thought about it before. Music. Is it off? I was prepared. Oh, is it gonna, Mr. Mason? There. Oh, okay. Thank you. degree, kind of diploma substitute. So I just put that in there, it's just a short little video, but they really don't think it's a big deal at all. You know, to them cheating is kind of like, it's nothing anymore. And they don't understand that they're compromising other people too. So it's really not just about them, which teenagers know this. That's hard, it's a hard concept to get. But then, you know, it really does matter, and if you're just not learning it, you're just wasting your time, you're putting that time in, and you're not gonna know basic skills for the next step. You know, I have seniors, so if you're going on to college, you're gonna write papers and you need to cite sources, you know, you need to know that now. You need to know that your work has to be your own, you're not gonna be able to do it in the next step. So I just like to kind of make that a focus. It's a short video, it keeps their attention, you know, so I kind of like that just as a short little resource. So transferring the ownership to the students, because the kids always have a lot of questions, and especially if they're new to cyber, you know, it's a whole new environment for them. So I don't like to make it stray too far from the classroom, because that's just what they're so used to. And so from a student perspective, I kind of like to go over a couple questions. I actually put in my notes here. But it does kind of talk about what motivates, like what motivates them to complete the courses. So for our kids, you know, it opens up a lot of free time for them if that's what they're looking for. They want to work, you know, they hit 16, they want to get a job. So if they can work on their schoolwork in their free time and not be locked in and maybe have some hours to go to a job, if that's what they want to do, then that can be kind of a motivating thing for them. What internal incentives motivate me? So, you know, sometimes it's some conflicts, some student conflicts going on. They like to work on their own. You know they can do the work on their own, and so they just like to be a little bit more independent in their studying in that way. Sometimes that's a motivation for them. I hate to say they don't want to go back in the classroom, but you know, some of them just don't. And so they like to be kind of working in a lab on their own. If they can do it, that's a good thing. Many of them kind of can't do that, and they need a lot of support if that's what they want to do. But it can be a motivational tool for them too. And how does their schoolwork fit into their life plans? So if they're talking about just building credits, going into the workforce, you know, going on to college, of course, that's not every student either. You know, the VOTEC kids here are very focused on their, you know, car maintenance or their welding courses, and that's what they're going to be. That's what they want to do. So they just want to get the courses, the required courses kind of done. And they're just really focused on a career, you know, through VOTEC, which is great. But they just kind of want to have like separate time on their own to do the cyber, and that's what's motivating them. You know, they kind of have an idea of where they want to go and what they want to do, but they still have to get those core classes done and focus, and that, you know, hopefully is helping them motivate. Some progress questions that kids come back to us with sometimes are, you know, why am I not on track? And that is, you know, for our older kids, I think kind of it's like a self-evaluation for them too. And sometimes they have to stop and you have to talk to them and, you know, say, well, why? You know, so it could be something personal at home. It could be that the job hours are becoming more than the school hours are. You know, so they have to kind of reevaluate here, and I think it's good for them to do that. But have those conversations, because the next one is always, what do I need to do to get back on track? Like, can you show me, you know, what can I do? Can you reset my assignment calendar, you know, to today's date? And then maybe we can work out a different schedule, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But there are small things that you can do to kind of help get them back on track. That assignment calendar, you know, show them where they are and where they need to be. You need to complete this work to get back on track, to show all those green check marks. Okay, and then that will put you back on track. And then what do I need to do to stay on track? And again, it's just kind of getting them to rethink their study habits. They've built habits, by 10th, 11th grade, so maybe that needs to change now. Maybe what you're doing as far as studying, putting the time into these assignments is not working. Maybe you have too many distractions going on. Maybe you need to just find a different location to do your work, or a different time of day. It just kind of gets them rethinking a little bit. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't ask this until they're kind of deep in the hole, but at least it's like a realization for them that, okay, I need some help. What can I do? And a lot of them will come out and kind of ask too. I think usually like by 10th grade up for it seems like for me anyway, that then they start, well, this isn't working for me. So do I need to get out of cyber? And that's sometimes even the solution too. Well, yeah, I mean, I have a 9th grader who said, I'm coming back to the classroom full time next year, Mrs. Lehman. That's a great idea, because that's where you should be. But she tried it, and she's working from home with too many distractions, and probably thought that, yeah, I can do it. I can, in 9th grade, I can sit. But she needs to be back here. And so we try to encourage that. We're not about like, oh, stay home. We don't, just do this all on your own, because it just doesn't really work like that. For some, it does. But and it's a good thing that she kind of realizes that. So I'm happy to hear that, Erica. What strategies do I know that work for me? And so again, this for the kids asking their own questions. It's just like a self-evaluation. The note-taking, some kids will use the e-notes, and we don't always require that for every student. But some of them will, take the e-notes on the side and really use those for whenever they're prepping for a quiz or a test. It's a very nice tool that Edgenuity has in there. They can get the captions kind of on the transcript. You can select so that they can see the transcript of the videos. And everybody's different, so some students like to have that up so that they can kind of read that and maybe take notes from the transcript too. Self-questioning, self-quizzing, other strategies. It just kind of gets them thinking of their own study habits really too.
Do you let, at Seneca Valley, do you let them have physical notebooks?
Yes, we do let them. If they request it, so many don't really want that. I guess that's maybe what they try to get away from. But yeah, we do let them take notes, and sometimes, depending on the student, like we will give an additional, in the category for the grades, we'll give an additional grade, maybe like a notebook grade, which would be kind of like participation, I guess. If that student is struggling, needs help, and they are, you can actively see that they're taking notes. They say, I want to use my notebook, but can I do this? We do have some teachers who will put in an additional grade, let's say, and give them points for like a notebook grade. So yes, you can do that. I mean, kind of depending on your student, and we allow that. Why haven't I mastered this? And then this kind of gets them thinking too, why am I really not trying as hard as am I just not remembering? Because maybe the way I'm processing this, I just can't remember all this information, or maybe just not understanding it. So it just kind of makes them think a little bit more. It's surprising when I hear a student say, I just can't remember. This is so much content. I can't remember it all. Like I just can't keep it in my head. Of course, the AP courses, they're just so loaded down with content because there can be so much in there. And we always have to, it's kind of chosen for us, but I have to tell the kids, these are just selections. Like that AP test, there might be all different selections, but you have to kind of narrow it down a little bit. Sometimes it's just, they just get overwhelmed, with some of those type of courses. Okay, so again, this just kind of, it's a little self-evaluation, I mean, I get overwhelmed with the AP courses. Just as I'm grading them, like, you kind of have to walk away sometimes, so I can imagine how the kids do. Please tell me somebody remembers them. Because I will just tell you, Penny is laughing, but all of my peers, when I put this out, they're laughing. They're like, I know who's that guy. I'm like, what? Really? Oh, you guys. And then I think, like, oh my gosh, they don't know who this guy is. And I'm like, gosh, if somebody, please tell me. Who is this? Does anybody not know? Is that, okay, yeah, there you go. So, who is it?
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Connor. Yes, there's one teacher over there knew. I'm like, thank you, Kathy. Yeah, I know. I put that on. I'm like, somebody's got to know that. So, but these are just some of the teacher tools. It reminds me of my peers are getting much older. But So these are just some teacher tools that we use in talking about things like open-ended questions. Either in like online or traditional learning environments. So sometimes we will assign short written assignments and not grading every entry. So the kids will, they kind of catch on. They're like, well, I have this assignment, they'll say like not counted. So like, well, yeah, that's what Ingenuity has. We have assignments in there and they're not counted. Just like you learn the things in the classroom, and sometimes not everything is counted. You have a journal, some entries, the teacher will look at, some entries the teacher will not, and it's just kind of an expectation for you every day to practice your writing. And so this is kind of similar in Edgenuity also. But if you, again, it kind of mentions the participation grade, and I know not everybody is crazy about that idea, but if you spot check some assignments, you can still see that the kids are making an effort to complete those, and you can put in the additional grade if you want to do something like that, or if you feel it's appropriate. The grade weight is also a consideration. I never thought about this before I saw this slide, but if the unit test and the exams make up 50% or more of the course grade, then the students know they have to focus on learning in those previous lessons, in the online lessons. And I thought, to me, it seems very high, like 50 and 50 or 50% for a unit test, but less motivation to mute the video, and a lot of kids do, or cheat on the quizzes if they're held accountable for the content with more weight at the end in like a unit test, let's say. And I never thought about that before, but I guess, yes, if they know that they're going to be held accountable with a heavier weight on a unit test, then maybe that would give them more incentive to not mute that video and go back and listen. Maybe, maybe not. I just never thought of it in that way before, but so many of them do. They just kind of skim past the video. Now I get kids that will say, I can't move on, this video, I got to the end. Well, you didn't get to the end because there's all those little orange blocks in between that show, where it's playing, and you obviously did not play. And that's why you can't move on at the end. And then they, oh, well, yeah, I didn't know I had to go back. I said, well, if you don't see all those orange boxes outlined, you can't move on. So that's why you're not able to move to that next activity. So they try all the shortcuts, because but maybe if the weight is higher, if you choose to do that, then they are held a little bit more accountable, okay? So I think that's just kind of a nice perspective to look at also. And if you use the student at the activity before the assessment, and you have to review their work before they're able to take the assessment, okay? So you can kind of quiz students to see what they know before they take the assessment, just so that you know that they're actually learning the assignment. You can establish some criteria before you'll unlock that assessment. So you can say, well, I have to see your e-notes are in there. You have to get a certain score or above on those practice evaluations before I'll unlock your assessment. Now that's time consuming. And again, I think that's the big thing for us is sometimes we don't have the time to address each student and go back. So it can kind of be time dependent there. And that's kind of the tough thing. You could maybe do that in a lab setting if you have like a small group of kids in the lab, but they would have to show you success before you go in and unlock that assessment. Okay, so that's just kind of another option that you can use. If you select teacher review, just know that that will do that. It will come up on your dashboard as something that you need to look at. So if you see that notice come up, that student is unable to move on until you look at that prior assignment. Okay? But kind of another tool that's in there to use. We also do here setting up block scheduling. Does anybody do block scheduling with their kids at all? Okay. So this can be effective. Some kids are great and they'll really follow that block and they work on one class at a time because that's their comfort level and that's what they want to do. Some are not as successful at that and they want to try that because they think if I just get one class done, I'm going to move right into the next class. If they're on like a shortened time frame, and sometimes, right now we get kids coming in now and we'll do that because we have 3 weeks left or 4 weeks left. And so sometimes we will customize the course and kind of just take out what they need. But sometimes you can't put them on a block schedule. So here's an example of one for the third 9 weeks. So this student, which is one of them, they already did world history, so that's kind of off the table there. Very short block. You can tell February 19th to the 22nd, but they already had 55% of chemistry done. So that's a shorter time that they have to finish, but they might want to finish that course first, okay, within those dates. 23rd, March 2nd, so English 10, so they had 12%, they had a little bit of that class done already. Still giving them time to, a little bit more time to finish, but they know that by, March 2nd, they should be done with English. And then they can kind of work that class, get rid of that class. 3rd to the 12th, they have algebra 2, and then 13th to the 20th. So it's just condensed. You can just, I actually like physically look at a calendar, say, okay, I'm gonna give you this many days. You have more done in this course, you're not gonna get as many days. It does work a lot of the times. It's a lot of checking back. Like, you have to finish this course, you have to be done in 3 days. So it's more communication with the student, which is not a bad thing. But sometimes, a lot of times the block schedules, the kids know when they have to be done, that it works well for them. Okay, and it's usually just crunch time that we set something like that up. Some kids just like to work that way. They'll say, I'll finish all my English class. I'll get it done by the end of this week. They'll self-block too, and they don't tell you all the time, which that's always a surprise, like, oh, that's what you're doing. Sometimes you can see that, but that's what you're doing, right? If I suspect it, I always ask, are you just doing one class and you're gonna work? Oh yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, you should let your teachers know that because they're expecting you to be working, but so this is just an example of the block schedule. This is a parent resource. I'm not even going to open it. It's in Edgenuity. It's nice for the parents because I didn't put a lot of parent information, but if you go into the help page on Edgenuity, they have a lot of different resources for parents. And this is just a quick guide, parent overview. You could print it off if you wanted to. But how to get your student successful, logging into the system, the sample progress report, which they're always confused. It takes a while to get them seeing, this is what you should be looking for on that progress report, and how to see that progress report every day. So a lot of our parents get the daily email, and here's mine too with that progress report. I don't know if some look at it or not. It doesn't seem like some do, but they're sent that daily, so they know they should know if their child is behind in the course. Okay, so this is in there. It's kind of nice just to go into Edgenuity and search under parent resources. And they have a lot of different things in there that are useful if you want to use them, or you're even a part of them maybe. Okay. Our off-campus students, we have a few that are just very non-traditional for different reasons. So we do have traditional lab students, and they might just have 1 or 2 periods in a cyber lab, and the rest of their classes are traditional. So that's really common here. They could have an all-day cyber lab, which I don't know how they do that, but some of them are scheduled just all full-time cyber. They come into school to work, and they're in that cyber lab all day, which they need to get out and go, do something, but go to lunch or something. I don't think it's ideal, but we do have some kids, they'll just sit in the cyber lab and work, all day. Some may do a half day where they come in and work half day. They sign in at the attendance office, they go up to the lab, and then they're allowed to leave at a certain point also. Okay, so we have those students. It's on VOTEC, we have a lot of VOTEC kids. Our VOTEC is in the morning, so they'll be at VOTEC in the morning, come back and do cyber in the afternoon in one of our labs. We have team and safe rooms here too. So that's some ES support rooms and behavioral kind of classrooms that have a teacher assigned in there. They're very small classes. There might be like 6 or 7 students in there working for the day. But our safe room is in the senior high, and our a team room is over there also. We have a team room here at the IHS. I believe we're getting a team room in the middle school too. So that's just another alternative students that we have kids in placements, like everybody usually does. They could be full-time working from home too. Students off campus, we have some dancers, we have a lot of dancers actually, some hockey players. We've had wrestlers, I know, in previous years. That they're, one boy is off in New York doing hockey, and he's back now, but it can be a struggle because they're not here, and if they do come back, they're only here like for a short amount of time. The ones I've had are usually pretty strong students, but sometimes you just have to make allowances. Like my dancer, I do Skype with her. She's going to do a phone conference for her graduation project. So, we just kind of have to make allowances for those students. And again, not a huge amount. We have more dancers here probably than anything because we have our own dance academy. It's called. suspension and expulsion too. We get those kids that they can work from home, they're not missing class time, they're given basically their same schedule, they're not allowed on campus, so, we have a handful of those also. So cyber works pretty well for those situations now, so they're not missing, class time, they're not just out doing nothing. Off-campus meetings, we do meet students off campus. I have not met a lot this year, but usually, we can meet at a Panera or a Starbucks or somewhere where there's Wi-Fi. So, of course, kids like that. But if they're sitting there all day, and some kids will, they'll sit there like a good portion of the morning and do some work. If they do that, and I think that's kind of a maturity level too, like obviously not all of them can. But they can actually get some work done, or if you just need to, we have met them there just to kind of get them through a couple units or a couple lessons to kind of get them moving. And so that, it works okay. Again, I don't think that's an ideal environment for a high school student, but some of them can do it and they do very well. Community libraries, we kind of with Cranberry and Zillion Oval, we've met students there. The librarians are very on board, so they know our program and they can kind of not so much help the students, but they can always get back to us. If the students need help, they keep track, they sign them in, which is really nice. And then the Zilli Library will always help us out in that regard. Cranberry has a very nice library down there. It's very easy to meet kids. All the resources are there. So the community libraries, at least here, that's very useful for meeting kids off campus. We don't meet at the placements. Denise might, but we don't really go up to Adult Fire anywhere and meet with those kids. But they will typically work. They have very limited time, I think, to work during the day. So we just kind of know that going in. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? That's all I have. But if you have any strategies that you use that have really been helpful in Edgenuity or that you find to be very helpful, if you'd like to share some of those too. But I tried to just cover some of the basics here. I know that's kind of a lot. If you'd like, I can send the PowerPoint to you if you want to just have it just to refer to or just a part of it. I can certainly do that. This is my only presentation today, so I'm available. I'm going to be in the Cyber Teacher Center, but if in between times you have a question or you just need to know maybe like how to do something like customizing or just want to have a student that has a situation and you want to talk about or give you some ideas, you can always come over there too, and I'll be there. Yes?
I work at the elementary,
Okay.
so we were interested in learning how this may work at the elementary level. For instance, for kids who have maybe an extended illness or
Right.
have anxiety coming
Yes,
to
we
school.
have a lot.
So do you utilize this at the elementary level?
Yes,
as
we
well?
do. Matt Corneris and Laura McLean do the elementary, so I would definitely sit in on those sessions. But it basically works the same. They obviously have more hands-on at the elementary, more lab time. We do, chronic illness, we do have that also, and kids can work from home. They can set up specific type of work plans for those kids. But we do have cyber labs in each of the elementaries. And there's a para in there also that can help the kids, at least get them set up. It's a lot of acceleration in elementary. So kids are, the math is just, really, that's what Cranberry's big, that's what they kind of look for as the acceleration too. But yes, I would definitely ask him about that. Yeah, you're welcome. Yes.
Talk more about the half-day split, how that works, like what they're doing here versus at
Just at home?
Is it?
Yeah, the half-day split, we have the hybrid kids, so they might, they'll have a full cyber schedule, but they might work on math and science at home or just do like a half day or whenever. I say at home, it doesn't necessarily have to, wherever they are. But they can elect to just take the half day, like sign in whenever they get here and work in the lab for a half day, and then work off campus for the second half of the day. And the building secretary, like when they come in, they're supposed to check in with that building secretary. They have a separate cyber ID badge, so that shows that they're like a part-time or like a hybrid student. So they're supposed to have that and kind of show that whenever they come in.
Required to be here at certain periods. They come when they, okay.
No, they're not. Sometimes we'll make like a schedule for them, just to have a little bit more structure. They're not required to be here, and it's kind of all based on that attendance law in Edgenuity. Like we need to see when they're working or that they are working, so we can kind of keep track of their attendance within that attendance log in Edgenuity too.
And if they're not, is that where the pressure's put, like, you need
Yeah,
to come in?
Yes.
We need to see you more.
Right, so Mr. Porter,
So we do use that kind of like a negotiation tool, so when we meet with the parents, and if we see that they're not progressing the way that they should be, then we say, we might give them, say by this week or these 2 weeks, if we don't see progress and an increase in your attendance per se, then we will require that you come in X amount of days a week. It could be 5 days a week, it could be 3 days a week, whatever he deems necessary for that child. So we do use it kind of like, not as a penalty, but kind of like an encouragement and say, hey, you got meeting our expectations, so now we're requiring that you come in. So.
None of this is on topic per se, but related to, you were talking about your blocking. Do you feel that kids are retaining information if they're rushing through the course?
well, and that's the thing is when we do the block schedule, it is such an abbreviated time that you hope that they have most of the course done and that they only need a couple of days, towards the end to kind of get that remaining material. Now, math is tough because they need, English is a little different. I can pull a writing assignment, they still get the same skill elsewhere. Math is more building, of course, so that is what makes it tough. We try to leave those blocks open a little bit more, or say.
Sciences, the math, so you
Yeah.
need time for that.
But, right, and we have the kids who will have a math block, they'll come in and meet with Dina, and they'll say, I need help with this, like I can't get it. So they might just come in a day, and she'll kind of sit with them and go over it. It's tough because they get just only so much time is left. It's kind of dependent on like how they work, but I know what you're saying. It is, we feel like they're just missing a lot of material and they're not gonna get it. And a lot of times, like, it's kind of their choice too, and I hate to say that, but when they get themselves in that situation.
Self-motivation.
Yes, right, it's like, well, you have to know this, so.
Most of our kiddos just don't wanna come to school, so
Well,
it's like, they're gonna
well,
rush
that's-
through it regardless, but it's
Right.
like, you wanna have an education.
Right,
so
and that's
it's
why
like-
I try to, like, that whole integrity thing, it sounds just kind of like baloney in a way, but, if you can just kind of reinforce it a little bit, like, look, you're not helping yourself, like, we can only help you so much. Like seniors are kind of, I'm just a sharp up, like, I just can kind of guide you, but I can't make you do this, like, you just have to decide that you have to go. Yeah, that's right, right, exactly, yes.
Does your curriculum online on Edgenuity match your curriculum in
Yes, it does. There are, like, sometimes it's a skill matching for me, like for English, the Edgenuity might have a work in there that is not taught in the classroom. But again, within our own traditional curriculum, there are teachers picking kind of within there too. So as long as it has like the same skill set, then, it may not be the exact same work, but yes, the curriculums should match up.
We tell
fairly
we tell
closely.
parents they're PA standards.
Right, they
We
are,
cover
yeah.
PA standards
Yeah,
on
it's
there,
the
we
same,
cover PA standards.
yeah, it's kind of the same thing here too.
How do you keep track of like the students that come in on that flexible schedule? And they report to the lab, how are you keeping track? Like they're all in our schedule, those kids that can come in and out, they're on our schedules. So we just have in our SIS, so
Yes.
we can take attendance every period.
Well,
whether they're there or not.
Yeah.
I mean, do you do the same thing or is it more?
We have a clipboard like in the labs where the kids are supposed to come and sign in. So the lab monitors, the lab teachers, they're not cyber teachers, but that's their duty. So they have their roster on their SV portal. It's kind of the same thing that they would take attendance. And those are cyber labs. So the kids should be in there working, they should be on cyber, and they should just sign the clipboard to come in. That's kind of our management system. And then
We have
just like
the
regular-
same thing, we just have
Yeah.
courses labeled labs, so period
Yeah.
one, they might be, just put them in the soccer home
Yeah,
course,
like
and
a
period
version.
2, 3, their soccer lab, and they leave period 4.
Like we have the ones that come in regularly, we have them scheduled in our SIS, in the cyber lab, cyber A's, but we don't take attendance in our SIS for them. We just have them there, so I have a clipboard and I actually have all the kids that come in like regularly there, and I always leave some extra spots at the bottom. So if, Michael decides to show up today because he decided to come in, you write him in and we just keep track of that
Do you
way.
not have blended kids that come in? Because we have blended kids that report to the lab to take their class, whatever, because it just,
Right.
yeah, they need
Yeah,
it.
we do.
We have, and that's like a lot of the ones that do use lab, like they have a pretty much traditional schedule, but maybe period 3, they come down, we just are taking one class. So like, they're still the same way though, we don't take attendance in our SAS for them, we just keep track of it.
Usually our lab teacher will have that like on a separate column on their sign-in, so they know which kids are coming in which day. Like those type of kids who just show up for like 1 or 2 periods. It's not ideal. I mean, we're always searching for kids from those labs, really. Because sometimes they're supposed to be there and they're not there.
Do you have after-school lab hours? Is that
No.
something that you guys do?
No.
Do you have, labs in all of your grade level buildings? Or-
We do.
Yeah, there's a lab in every building, including the elementaries as well.
Because we have some middle school kids who end up coming to our high school.
Yeah, I had
Because we only have the lab at the high school, and that's kind of a problem, just to have the middle school.
It's tough, even age-wise, it's kind of tough. I mean, even our middle school kids, like, that's why we're trying to build that up a little bit more. It's tough to even like from 7th grade to 10th grade, you know, it's kind of, I get that. It's kind of hard to have them all together. Yeah.
And then
that would be nice to have.
Yeah, and then our court just said, you know, like our magistrate, oh, they weren't going, well, then now they have to.
Right.
Yeah, I have some that are quarter that have to come to the lab now.
It's hard to figure out the tracking a lot of times, I know. It's tough here too, so it's not ideal. But does anybody else have any other questions on that?
With the attendance, so you said like if they're not progressing, you then require them to come in, and then what's the consequence after that? Eventually, do you tell them they have to come back brick and mortar at any point?
We tried.
That's like I think.
We tried.
Yeah, we can't get to that point where they're required to come back yet. Typically though, as long as I've been here, we don't really have to get to that point. Typically, the kids and the parents will work together to at least make it, an effort to get in. But we still do the same things in terms of we send letters to the magistrates for students who repeatedly aren't, attending or we check their attendance while. And we do the whole truancy policy for them as well.
Yeah, 'cause like that's what like I think our district like the attendance fault like just takes so long.
Oh, yeah, it's a process.
It's a
And there's only
process,
so much as a
and-
teacher can do, really. If they're not gonna come to school, they're not gonna.
And I think that's one of my biggest with the success on cyber is the attendance issue.
Yeah, it is.
It's the ones that are logging in, they're doing okay, the ones that aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the code of conduct that you do with
Yeah, with the attendance.
And that's a big piece, just like anything else, is that really emphasizing that when you got a new student in the program, is really emphasizing the student or the attendance piece. Because what we found is that sometimes realize that there really was an attendance policy because they're cyber. So we thought it was so flexible that even if they're not doing work for weeks on end, that's
Right,
no
it's
problem.
open until that next to the last
So-
day.
Right, so it's important to really upfront set that stage and let them know that there is an attendance policy, that we do have expectations for you, and we will follow up on your.
That's what we do, we actually take our out.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much. Like I said, I'll be over there if anybody has a question or needs help with anything. Thank you.
the.